broken, and for the roofs of the houses, the tiles have been taken off. In this nearby region, from the outside look of the houses, they are not severely damaged. In the evening of the 16th of March, immediately we have made the drive from Tokyo until the Soma city. We have taken the highway, and in the nearby section of the Soma city, we have decided to abandon the highway because sections of the highway have also been severely damaged, and there are some cracks on the surface of the ground at a lot of crossroads. There's no more traffic light. As you can see in the nearby surroundings, those are the local restaurants, and you can also find shops and post offices. On my way here, I've noticed that on their door they put up a panel of information saying that the service has been suspended. And according to local people of Soma City, immediately the families living here, they are plunged into darkness due to the cutoff of the power, and also some of the water supply has been suspended too. And now let's continue our walk forward, talking about this earthquake because it has taken place during the night. And in the Fukushima prefecture, a lot of families have been plunged into darkness due to the cutoff of the power. People have also felt rounds of aftershocks. The aftershocks have freaked people out. For example, over there you can see the tiles on the roof of the houses have been taken off by the shocks from the earthquake. And for the first floor of that house, for the balcony, and also for the windows, they are partly damaged too. And this house is also closed down. I believe that the owner of this house must have already fled the home, and bicycles knocked down by the shocks from the earthquake. This region is more severely damaged after the earthquake. And according to local office, they have transferred the local people to a shelter place. Now we can observe the status quo of the earthquake and the afterquake situation. We're also very concerned about the status quo of the Chinese people living in Japan, and China's embassy in Japan. They have been in close contact with the local people, with Chinese people living in this area. And according to the latest update, there's no Chinese casualties or Chinese people hurt in this earthquake. And recently, there's also an official announcement, a notice for the people. For the following days to come, there may be possibility of aftershocks from this earthquake. So we urge the Chinese people living or working here to stay cautious. And for people who have a plan to come to this region, please just postpone your plan to visiting this region. And for those who are living in this region, just do not lower your guard.
我们可以看到这边的房子现在也都是关门关窗的，应该里面的这个居住者呢都去避难所避难了。
And the houses are closed down. Their owners have already fled the house, and they must be hiding in a shelter. I've also noticed some other local people, the citizens, they've come out from their house in order to pick up some water. Soma City is very close to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. In 2011, you know that this region, the Fukushima prefecture, has been devastated by a greater magnitude of earthquake. And this time, with this more than 7.3 magnitude earthquake, people are wondering whether there will be a repetition of the history, and will we be facing another round of high risks of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. And we have also received official confirmation from the nuclear power plant. The water pumps in the nuclear power plants, in order to cool down the spent fuel bars, have been restored. They have been cut off the power for a certain period of time, and later on immediately people have found the other generator of the power. We're passing by a factory. After reaching this area, I've noticed that there's no significant cracks on the surface of the ground, and the degree of damage brought by the earthquake to this certain part is quite limited. When I got the news about the earthquake, it's already around midnight. I was living in Tokyo. I've noticed that my bed is shaking horizontally. In the very beginning, I thought it's just illusion. And after feeling that shake for 30 seconds, I checked up my phone. There's no message coming into my phone saying that there's an earthquake. And immediately we received some quick news in the TV station and saying that there's a heavy earthquake that has hit off the coast of eastern Japan. And this time, Japan has been hit by 7.4 magnitude earthquake. From the beginning of last year until now, Fukushima prefecture has been hit by earthquakes many times, and this time is the most severe one. Just now we've talked with local people, and they told us that living in Soma city, they could have a frequent experience with earthquake. They are very experienced in settling the situation in the case of an earthquake. However, last night, on Wednesday night, they are still frightened in face of the 7.4 magnitude earthquake, a very heavy one. There's another factory by our side that's also suspended temporarily their operations. Now we are giving you this live streaming report from Soma city of Fukushima prefecture. Around 11 a.m. local time, about 20,000 families are still cut off the power. They are mainly living in the Soma city. That is from the official information release. And according to our interview, half of the families have already enjoyed a restoration of the power supply. You can see how efficient local public services are working. But one remaining problem is with the supply of water, and local services that are also working very hard in order to restore the supply of the water for the local people. And over there, you can see the roof of that house has been completely damaged by the earthquake, and a lot of tiles have fallen down, and they have hit the ground. We can find quite a lot of houses in the similar style. In our interview with the local people, they mentioned that their family members and relatives, they are in very good status. However, all the furnitures have been knocked down. It will take some time. They have to take some time to restore the whole picture of their house, to restore the inner
这一次的地震可以说是
decoration.
影响的区域非常的广泛，震中呢是在福
And
岛的
this
沿
time,
海，但是
The earthquake has damaged a lot of areas. The center of the earthquake is around the coastal area of Fukushima Prefecture, and in total 9 prefectures are under shock of this earthquake. In all those places, people can hardly feel the aftershocks by now, but for the following days to come, people still have to be very cautious because there will be a possibility of further aftershocks in the following days to come. And in the yard, you can see the pots have been broken down. Tiles also fallen on the ground. In this area, when doing our job, we will also stay away from those endangered houses. Judging by the status quo of this ground, circulation is no problem. Traffic is good. So that is a very optimistic news for our team for the water supply, because they can travel around to bring water to more families. This is the other side of the house that we have mentioned before. And you can find some broken tiles. When you pass by those short walls, you also have to pay attention to the possible dangers, some risks of the fallen tiles.
现在有一个好的现象，大家看，我们前方的红绿灯已经在恢复工作了。
Oh, there one good signal. The traffic light has come back to work. So you can see that people from the civic services, they're working very hard to restore the power supply for the public service facilities. Dear viewers, my name is He Xinlei. I'm now giving you the report from the Soma city of Fukushima Prefecture, a region that has been relatively hard hit during the 7.4 magnitude earthquake on the Wednesday night. Local people, they are working hard to restore the supply of power and also the water. Chinese embassy to Japan has also sent a notice to the local Chinese people living and working here. It is sad that people living here should prepare for the possible aftershocks, and they can also cause secondary catastrophes, for example, the landslide. We sincerely hope that all the people living in this region can stay safe. So that is my report about the latest updates. And you're also welcome to stay tuned. And this is the area most hit during the 7.4 magnitude earthquake, local time Wednesday night. A lot of local people, they are queuing in order to have some access to water supply. They are holding some containing containers in order to get the water back home. In their house, they don't have the supply of drinking water or water for the daily cleansing. So the local services of the water supply have decided to use this tank vehicle to give people access to water. This is one of the supply spots. It has been activated 40 minutes ago. We have already emptied one tank and there is another available. Local people will give their bottles to the workers and the water will be filled into the bottle by our personnel working here. Just now we have also had some small talk with the local residents. They told us that after the earthquake, immediately the water supply has been cut. And so they can have some water running in the tubes, but they're not very clean, so not suitable for daily drinking. In the very beginning, about 200 people are queuing here, but after 40 minutes of the water supply service here, it's almost completed. Some coal-fired power plants have also suspended temporarily their operation immediately after the earthquake. So that's why so many households they have witnessed the blackout in their home. And afterwards, due to the diligent work of the local people, they have restored the supply of power. And people are restoring other facilities and services. At this spot, you have the image that most of the people they have already had an access to the water.
在这个地震灾害过程当中呢，大家的情绪都比较的低落，所以有很多的居民呢是拒绝对
During this disaster, a lot of people have refused to receive the interview because they don't have a very active mood. So we will just be watching them very quietly by the side. And previously, we have already talked with some of the local residents. They told us that last night the earthquake has hit the Soma city very hard, and dating back to the year 2011, the city has also been devastated by the earthquake. The majority of the local citizens have decided to flee the city in order to find shelter elsewhere. And last night, local time, it's Wednesday night, local time, by 11 p.m., a lot of people, they were getting ready to fall asleep, and some people, they are already asleep. And they can feel the horizontal shakes of their beds. A lot of people, they are woken up from their dreams, and immediately they packed up their bags in order to find a shelter outside. And some other people say that the earthquake was so strong that it's very hard for them to keep walking. For the first round of the shocks, it has lasted for 1 minute, and later on there have been several other rounds of aftershocks. And one local citizen told me that they have felt more than a dozen of rounds of aftershocks. Local authorities have warned people to stay alert against possible aftershocks because it will cause the possible landslides and other secondary catastrophes. And during our introduction, this spot of the water supply has almost been completed. Personnel, they are concluding their work. In this earthquake-hit area, there will be possible risks of the aftershocks, so people have installed this facility outdoor. Inside the fences, it's a park for the local people. So this is an open space for the personnel to do the work. The workers, they are discussing about the next stage of water supply and how they can continue with their water supply work. I'm about to walk you through the situation in the city of Soma.
并看不到因为地震产生的很大的影响，但实际上我们在来到这个供水点的过程当中呢，是能看到很多这个当地的柏油马路地皮是翻起来了。
From this point, you can see that the damage level is quite limited. However, on our way here, a lot of houses have their roof ripped off, and the tiles have all fallen down to the ground. Around this area, from what we can see now, the look of the houses, they are still relatively good. In the evening of the 16th of March, after getting the news, immediately we took our car, and later on we hit off the road. We have first of all traveled by the highway, and when we came nearby Soma city, we found that sections of the highway was severely damaged, so we abandoned the highway. At crossroads, some traffic lights, they are out of service due to the power cut. Over there, you can see local restaurants and also nearby shops, postal services, etc. On my way here, I've noticed that a lot of shops and facilities have been shut down with a notice stick to their door. After the earthquake, immediately the power was off and water supply was cut in the Soma city, so that's why a lot of places have decided to suspend their work. So let's continue. Talking about this earthquake, it has taken place during the night time. In Fukushima prefecture, a lot of places, they don't have the power, and people can very clearly feel the shocks from the earthquake. It's also a big challenge to people's mentality. And over there you can see a two-story house whose roof was ripped off. So you can imagine how devastating the earthquake has been. For example, for the house, the first floor's balcony and windows have been broken down. Some of the tiles, they have also been ripped off roof of the house. And this house is also closed down. I believe the owner must have left his house. The bicycle is also knocked down to the ground during the earthquake. From outside, we can have a guess that there's no one now living inside this house. And immediately after the earthquake, the local authorities have established a shelter, and local people have rushed to the shelter for security concerns. So you must be as concerned as I am about the status quo of Chinese compatriots living in this area. Very quickly after the earthquake, we have contacted with the Chinese embassy here. They've been talking with the local groups of Chinese compatriots. According to our latest updates, there's no Chinese casualties or injuries during the earthquake. And immediately the embassy has issued an emergency call to the Chinese compatriots, because in the nearby region there's a possibility of aftershocks for the next days to come. So the embassy says that you have to try to avoid visiting these places in the following several days. If you live in this region, please just prepare yourself up, and also please don't lower your guard. There will also be risk of secondary catastrophes, for example, the landslide. As you can see here, there's no one living in this house either. People must have fled their house and moved to the shelter. Over there, by the spot of water supply, a lot of people have taken their vehicle to go back home. Soma City is very close to the Fukushima nuclear power plant. During the devastating earthquake and tsunami in 2011, residents living in the Soma City, they have also been traumatized. As long as we know, after the earthquake of this time, the first thought that the residents had after the earthquake is that will we repeat the history of the catastrophe with Fukushima nuclear power plant? And after the earthquake, local officials have confirmed very rapidly the status of the nuclear power plant. First of all, there's the fire alert, but luckily the fire didn't break out. And for the water pump of the spent fuel storage pit has stopped working for a period of time, and later on, this operation has been restored. And during that period of the suspension of work, the temperature of the storage pit of the spent fuel didn't change, so there's no abnormal situation with the nuclear power plant. We are passing by a factory now. And in this area, as we can see, there's no significant cracks on the ground surface, and you can tell that the degree of damage caused by the earthquake can be considered limited. When the earthquake took place, it was about 11 p.m. local time. Immediately, I can feel that my bed was shaking horizontally. In the first place, I thought it was just my illusion, and I checked my phone and the TV program. There's no message. After 1 minute, in the TV program, immediately there's a speedo message saying that there is an earthquake, a massive earthquake, hitting off the coast of eastern Japan around the Fukushima prefecture. It's a magnitude of 7.4, starting by the beginning of last year until today. Fukushima prefecture, especially its coastal areas, have already experienced several rounds of earthquake, and this time is the most devastating one. In my previous interview with the local citizens, they told me that living in the Soma city, they can have a frequent experience with the earthquake. They are very experienced with coping with the earthquake. However, last night, they have experienced this massive earthquake of 7.4 magnitude, and they are still very much frightened. There's a factory here also in suspension of work. Now we are in the Soma city of Fukushima prefecture. This city is one of the hardest hit regions in this earthquake. According to the local authorities of Fukushima prefecture, about 20,000 households, they don't have the power. And in our interview with the local citizens, half of those families have already witnessed the restoration of the power and water. So you can see that people, they are working in a very effective way, and highly efficient work is going on. For example, over there, there is an old house. The roof has been ripped off, and the tiles have fallen down on the ground. In the Soma city, if you take a closer look at the landscape, you can find a lot of houses in the similar style. And in the interview, local citizens told us that currently the family members, they are in a very safe situation. The biggest headache for them is that the cupboards and the other household furnitures have been knocked down and turned down. So it will take them several days to repair everything and restore all the decoration indoor. This earthquake has covered and hit a lot of regions. The center is located off the coast of Fukushima prefecture. Capital city can feel the shocks from the earthquake, and another 9 prefectures are also hit. According to the latest information, aftershocks have almost ceased in the nearby prefectures, but for the following days, in Fukushima prefecture, people still have to stay alert for the possible risk of the aftershocks. This is also a traditional house of Japanese style. The flower pots are broken. The tiles have also fallen down from the roof. So when we are doing this live streaming report in the earthquake hit area, we will also try our best to protect ourselves and stay away from the endangered region. Judging by the situation of the ground, the traffic circulation is very good. And the fuel supply is also no worry. This is the other side of the house we have mentioned before. The tiles have fallen down from these walls. When you pass by the shorter walls of this kind, you have to be vigilant because there will be, from time to time, tiles falling down. One good news for everyone. Over there you can see the traffic light is back to work. So the power lines have been restored to normal status for the public roads. Wow, dear viewers, I'm He Xinlei, the journalist of CCTV. I'm now giving you this report in Soma City, one of the hardest hit city in the earthquake that has taken place last night. The local power supply has been gradually restored, but it will take some more time for us to restore the water supply. Chinese embassy to Japan has also warned the Chinese compatriots to protect themselves, and it is also said that people have to make more prudent plans for the traveling and visits. For example, they have to get themselves prepared for the possible aftershocks and also possible secondary catastrophes like the landslide. We hope that everyone can stay safe. So that is my report for you all about the earthquake in Japan.
各位网友，大家好，我是总台驻日本记者何新磊。我现在所在的位置呢，是位于福岛县的相马市，也就是当地时间16号晚间地震影响最严重的区域之一。大家可以看到，现在我身后的这个当地居民是在排队接水。可以看到男女老少，大家手里拿着各种颜色、不同形状、大小的这个水瓶、水壶。因为在这个地震发生之后呢，当地是立即出现了断水的情况。由于没有生活饮用水呢，也没有办法在家里做饭，也没有办法在家里进行清洁。
The services for the supply of water and power have been cut off. And in order to guarantee the normal daily life for the people living here, local authorities have immediately mobilized these temporary services.
供水呢是在大概40分钟之前开始的。那么原本有2辆供水车，但是有一辆
This boat has come into service 40 minutes ago. They have already consumed 2 tanks of water. And for the procedure of water supply, local residents will hand over the bottle to the personnel, and the personnel will be in charge of refilling the bottles, and finally the citizens can take the water back home. We have already talked with many citizens living here. They told us that after the earthquake, immediately the house has run out of water. For some of the households, they still have the running water, but the quality of the water is not suitable for drinking. During the peak hours, people queuing here can reach the number of more than 200, and until now, after 40 minutes of service for water supply, you can see the personnel have almost completed their work. Some coal-fired power stations have also temporarily suspended their operation and the power generation. That's why many households have been plunged into the blackout situation. However, local citizens just now told me that they have already witnessed the restoration of power for their houses and a lot of reparation. Emergency teams, they are also in operation now. For this spot of temporary water supply, they have almost completed their work. And people, once have the water, can head home directly. 在这个地震灾害过程当中呢，大家的情绪都比较的低落，所以有很多的。After the earthquake, a lot of people they are rather sad, so they may refuse to receive our interview. So we will just be standing by the side. And earlier in our live streaming program, we have already talked with some of the local people. During the earthquake, the Soma city, if you know something about the city, the Soma city has already been devastated in 2011 during that huge earthquake and tsunami. And during the previous massive earthquake in 2011, the majority of the citizens have fled the city. And for this round of earthquake, people have felt very clearly the shocks. The earthquake has taken place around 11 p.m. People were ready to get to bed, and very clearly they have felt that their bed was shaking horizontally. So people have decided to pack up their luggages so that they can spend the night outdoor. And some other people also told me that the earthquake was so strong that it was even difficult for them to keep walking in their home. The first round of heavy shocks have lasted for about 1 minute. Afterwards, there are several rounds of aftershocks. For example, one local citizen told me me that more than 10 rounds of aftershocks during the night. Local authorities have also warned the local people to stay vigilant against the possible aftershocks for the next days to come. They also have to stay away from the mountain area because there will be possible risks of the secondary catastrophes like the landslide. And for this spot, people have generally completed their water supply work and they are concluding the job now. In this earthquake-hit area, there will be the risk of aftershocks, so people will just deliver this kind of service in the open air. You can see the green color fences inside. To the other side of the fences is a local park for the local residents. So this is a wonderful place for them to carry out the work. Now they are having a discussion about the next stage of water supply and how they can elaborate a plan for the further water supply work. And I'm about to walk you through the status quo of the Soma city. Now we are standing in an open area, and there's no significant signs of damage after the hit of the earthquake on the ground. But for some parts of the road in other regions, you can find significant cracks, and over there, for the houses over there, they are covered by the tiles, and the tiles have been partly ripped off the roof of the houses. What we can see from this point of view, those houses, they are in relatively good status. In the evening of the 16th of March, we have immediately decided to come to the Soma city for the report. First of all, we hit off the road by the highway, but when we drove near the Soma city, we noticed that a large piece of the highway has been severely damaged by the earthquake. So we are obliged to leave the highway, and traffic lights sometimes can also get out of service. In front of us, the local restaurants, and also in the surroundings, we can find shops and postal offices. On my way here, I can see that those facilities, they have put up a notice saying that they will just close down the shop and suspend their service for a period of time. And local citizens also told me that immediately after the earthquake, the water supply has been cut off, and that is the